Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial by IT Conflict Computer Repair in Austin, Texas. And today I have for you guys a MacBook Pro 13-inch early 2011 computer. What we're going to be doing today on this computer is upgrading the standard 4 gigabytes of RAM that came originally with this system if you did not purchase the 8 gig upgrade, which is like $300 extra from Apple. We're going to be upgrading that 4 gigs of RAM to the maximum 8 gigabytes of RAM total. So let's begin. The first thing I'm going to do here is close the lid on this computer. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over on its back. Now, one quick tip, guys, before you start taking these screws off, note where you're taking them off. You know, if you have to maybe get a sheet of paper or something and just draw out where you're getting those screws from, do that. Just make sure, because some of these screws are very specific to where they go on the computer. This might be a larger screw than that one, and so forth. So just make sure that when you put these screws down somewhere, make sure you put them down in the same place you got them so it doesn't get confusing for you. You can either use like an ice cube tray and mark the tray, or just put them down on the table next to you, and just make sure you don't get confused because you don't want to damage the laptop. So all I'm going to be using here is a standard small screwdriver. It is a star, whatever you want to call it, Phillips. I call them a star because I'm not very technical with tools. But this is all I'm going to be using today to upgrade the RAM on a MacBook Pro 13-inch laptop. So let's begin. I'm going to start off by removing these screws. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 total screws. Start off with the top right here. Once I've fit my screwdriver in, I'll just screw that screw off. You'll see this is already a larger screw, so I'm going to put this down aside just so I know where it goes. Now, I've actually already upgraded the RAM on this laptop. It took me, it shouldn't take you guys too long, but it took me about maybe 5 minutes, 7 minutes around there just to take these screws off. I was a little quicker that day. Today I'm a little loud. I only got about 3 hours of sleep last night, so forgive me if my voice sounds a little groggy and I sound a little sleepy. It's just the fact is I am sleepy and I'm pretty much just going on caffeine. So I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible for you guys, as easy and as very easy to understand as possible. There's a small screw, so again, that's top left. I'm going to note that there. Start taking off the side screw. Very small little screw again. Taking off the bottom left now. Some space for my screws here. So as you're going around, you're going to go take these screws off. Total of 10 screws in the bottom of the computer. It's the bottom plates. This is the, I guess, the unibody version. These new MacBook Pros. Battery, everything's built inside, so upgrading the computer is going to require that you have some knowledge of taking laptops apart and understanding the inner components. And it's going to require that you have a little confidence and patience in yourself if you wanted to replace the battery, upgrade the RAM, or anything like that. So I've taken the 10 screws off already. I'm ready to remove the plate. Now, before I remove that plate, I'm going to show you guys what originally came in the Mac. It was these two pieces of RAM, and these were actually built. These are Samsung RAM. I don't know. I thought it was Hynix or something, but these are the two, the two 2 gigabyte sticks that originally came in the system. These are the ones that, again, I've already replaced the RAM on mine. I already have the 8 gig upgrade, but if you see here, this is the RAM that originally came in it. So I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to show you guys how to remove the RAM and how easy it was for me to do this. Now that you've already taken the screws off around the edge of the laptop, you just want to gently lift up on this bottom plate here. And you see it comes off just like so. All very easy. Here's the inside of the MacBook. You have identified a couple components for you guys. Before I even start doing anything, touch something metal inside the laptop just to make sure you don't fry a motherboard or anything else like that. You know, I'm not touching the motherboard yet, but touching metal. Okay, I think I have no static on me, so I can proceed. I'm going to point out a couple different components here, guys. You have your battery, which connects to the motherboard right here somewhere, I believe. You have your hard drive, which in this case mine is a 360. I think this was a standard with this laptop. You have your optical drive, which is right here, your system speaker, your motherboard, and your RAM. This is also your system fan. Your processor all lies somewhere underneath there on the other side of the board. But what we're going to be doing is replacing the RAM, doing a 4 to 8 gig upgrade. So the way we do that is on the RAM, which we've identified right here. There's some little hinges that you're just going to pull aside. Very gentle. We're not rough or anything like that. The RAM automatically just pops up. I'm able to slide the RAM out just like so. And the bottom RAM, again, pull up on those hinges. Bottom RAM, we're going to be a little gentle with. I don't want to ruin this. I just installed it, so this one is a little more difficult. If you have these, fat sausage fingers like mine, it's a little more difficult for you to get the RAM out. But my RAM's stuck. But once it comes out, it's out, and it's that easy. So what RAM is this? I chose the Corsair 8GB kit, which I purchased at Fry's Electronics for like $54. I saw the exact same, this is a 1333, the exact same RAM on Amazon.com for like $45. So if you want to save yourself 10-15 bucks and wait a few days for that to come in, order it from Amazon. But otherwise, you're going to do just fine by going to any local retailer. If you want instant gratification, installing the RAM all happens under 10 minutes. Don't pay for it, guys. If you don't feel comfortable opening your computer up, then yeah, pay for it. If it's a $65 install, then do it. But if you're confident and careful enough, and if you know what you're doing, installing the RAM is not difficult. So let's pretend that I just removed the RAM. This is the old RAM from the system. I'm now installing the new RAM, which again, this is the 8GB, 2 4GB sticks. This is the 8GB upgrade kit by Corsair. I'm going to line it up by notch, and the notch is right there. Make sure that notch matches what you see on the laptop, and I'm going to see if I can get a view for you guys. But that notch right there should match the notch right here, and you'll see as they fit in just like that. So I'm going to put this down now and install the RAM. Starting with the bottom RAM first, I feel that it is inside the notch. It feels snug. I'm ready to push down and lock the RAM in position. The RAM is locked in position. I'm going to install the second, which is the top part RAM. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that I push that in just deep enough. I don't want to take this thing apart again. It did. Not being too rough with it. It should be easy and slide in just very easily once you have those notches matched up just fine. I feel that it is pushed in correctly. I'm going to go ahead and just push it down now, and the RAM locks in place. We're going to take our plate that we earlier removed, line the plate up just from the top here. Make sure that everything kind of matches up just right, and the way I'm going to figure that is by just looking down these screw holes to make sure that everything matches up. It's not off or anything. All feels like it's going to fit in place very easily. I'm going to start off by installing the top right screw, which is one of the larger screws. And that screw should just fit in like so. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be super tight in there, it just needs to fit. And then what I'm going to do is get another smaller screw and install it here in the bottom left of the laptop, just to kind of have it all fit easily. I don't want to run into problems later on where it doesn't fit, or not that you would, but I'm just very careful when I'm installing these. I don't like to bother with it. 10 screws is a good 2 minutes, and if you just installed RAM, you're excited to see how it performs on your computer. So you want to do everything right the first time and not bother with it later. So the screws fit. I'm going to make sure this one, I'm not comfortable with how it fits. I'm going to make sure it does. It fits snug. Very good. Start going off to the top screws again, because these are pretty much the easier ones to install. Again, you don't want to be too rough with it. I'm probably being too rough here, but I'm confident if I break it, I'm going to be able to fix it. I'm sure you guys can too, so don't be too rough, but also, you know, we're excited. We just installed RAM, so we want to see how it runs. By the way, guys, the 8 gigabytes on this computer, this is the 2.3 gigahertz, I believe, processor. Don't quote me on that. I'm just kind of, I work with computers all day, so I'm not sure on the specs. I believe it's the 2.3 on the earlier 2011 models, but it just, I mean, it is blazing fast. It's 8 gigabytes of RAM. The upgrade is a huge difference just running software programs like Photoshop, multitasking. I mean, it is amazing. Huge difference. And it's a very noticeable difference too, especially if you use those software programs. Anything that's heavy graphics, anything like that, amazing. Okay, so that screw, I'm going to get a smaller screwdriver that I have here just to tighten those up a little better. There we go. Yeah, I'm sure if you're working on computers and you're kind of learning to work on computers, you're going to have several different tools. In this case, I have several tools that I work with that make my job a lot easier, taking computers apart and putting them back together. In this case, I have a screwdriver that looks pretty, and then I have a screwdriver that is this small metal steel screwdriver that works just fine as well. This one actually fits these tiny Mac screws a little better, so I'm going to continue finishing the video off with this one. And we're just, again, putting the screws back on the Mac. Not being too rough with it. The screws just should fit in very easily, shouldn't give you too much trouble. If they are, back the screw out, unscrew it, and screw it back in. You might have just gotten a rough groove or something. Typical, these things were out of the factory, so you can imagine that there might be a tiny, minute, small, very small defect, if any. I mean, this is coming from Apple, so I wouldn't expect it to have a defect, but I mean, you never know. So I've installed all the screws. I'm going to go around just to make sure that they all fit snug. They do. Not too tight, but also not loose. I don't want to lose a screw. I mean, you probably wouldn't care if you did or didn't, but I just want to make sure I do this correctly for you guys. So we have all the screws back in place. Let's do the test. I'm going to power the system on, and hopefully we did everything right. We didn't short the board or anything like that. Here comes the test. I'm going to actually just lift the camera up a little more there. No PVRAM resets, no RAM, no reset with Mac. It should just install the RAM, the new RAM, just fine. There shouldn't be any problems with it. Old RAM is right here. I'm going to just put this aside now. In the event that I ever have a bad stick or one of these Corsair RAMs modules or one of the RAM sticks goes bad, I have these as a spare, these 2 gigabytes as a spare, so at least I'll be dropped down to a 6 gigabyte from 8. So we're going to wait for the system to start. Normally it doesn't take this long to boot, but you know, I just installed new hardware. There it is. I'm going to try and do this on camera. If not, I'll turn it around and see if we can get a view of that RAM where it says about this Mac. Let's see. What does that say? Let's see what it says. That says 8 gigabytes. I mean, you could barely see it, but I mean, we can tell here that we were successful in upgrading the RAM. Very simple. I mean, we did this under 15 minutes. And the exception that I took a little longer just to install it, but I want to verify with you guys. I'm sorry the camera movement, but I want you guys to see that it is 8 gigabytes, and it is a 2.3 gigahertz i5 processor. So we were able to successfully upgrade the RAM on a MacBook Pro early 2011 edition, 13-inch, 2.3 gigahertz processor. That's an i5 processor, originally with 4 gigs of RAM, running OS X Lion 10.7.2. Now it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which normally was a $250 to $300 upgrade addition through Apple. And we've done this with 15 minutes of little know-how and $45 if you bought it from Amazon, 8 gig upgrade kit with Corsair. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, please leave them in the comments section of youtube.com/ITconflict. We're on Facebook. That's facebook.com/ITconflict. And we're also on Twitter. That's twitter.com/ITconflict. Check out our website for us. That's www.itconflict.com. And this is Eric with IT Conflict Computer Repair in Austin, Texas. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe.